Oceans once swallowed entire worlds, and even today we're left to wonder if their depths hide earth-shaking truths. Consider this. The lost city of Atlantis is said to have flourished in a golden age of unparalleled innovation, only to vanish under punishing waves. But what if the disappearance wasn't just a cautionary tale of hubris, but a real cataclysm that wiped out an advanced civilization? In the next few moments, you might discover that Atlantis could be more than legend. It might be a glimpse into humanity's forgotten apex. Close your eyes and imagine megalithic structures replete with otherworldly artistry. Entire complexes bustling with sophisticated technology that defies our understanding of the ancient world. It's a paradox that tugs at the mind. Accepted history insists that advanced cultures only emerged gradually, yet echoes of this lost city suggest something far more revolutionary. Did we get our timeline wrong? Are we on the brink of rewriting everything we learned about our past? Atlantis has been ridiculed, revered, and even romanticized across centuries, yet its haunting presence pressures us to question our historical limits. Much of the mainstream sees the story as mere allegory from Plato, but every now and then a discovery surfaces, a puzzling artifact or an underwater anomaly that rekindles hope. Today let's crack open that enigma. Perhaps the real question is not whether Atlantis existed, but why the evidence of its reality has remained so elusive. Get ready to explore anomalies that could shift our perspective forever. Have you ever wondered if our most revered ancient scriptures and philosophical texts could hold fragments of an explosive truth? The mainstream academic stance tells us that Plato's account of Atlantis was purely metaphorical, a grand allegory about human arrogance, yet curiosity nags. Why did Plato so meticulously describe the city's layout, culture, and downfall in his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias? Rhetorical exaggeration? Or was he encoding knowledge entrusted to him by older civilizations? Archaeologists have spent decades debating over strange artifacts that defy neat categorization. Some megalithic sites bear uncanny similarities to Plato's schematic descriptions, concentric rings of land and water with advanced engineering that would dwarf many known early civilizations. If these structures are just random anomalies, why do they echo so closely the layout described in ancient texts? Then there are underwater formations off the coasts of Spain and near the Mediterranean that appear to show symmetrical patterns, possible remnants of a sunken metropolis. Skeptics claim natural sedimentation or illusions, but ask yourself, could there be more to these submerged shapes than just geological quirkiness? We are only at the fringes of deep-sea discovery. What might still be hidden, waiting to be found? Perhaps it's time to put the typical cynicism aside and probe the possibility that there is more to Atlantis than fantasy. If the seeds of a complex civilization really thrived and then vanished, how would we even begin to piece together its scattered remnants? Would official narratives accept the facts or bury them? Let your skepticism run wild, but keep an open mind, because we're just getting started. Scholars point to contradictions in multiple historical accounts, but contradictions don't inherently debunk a truth. They often serve as a map to hidden corridors of knowledge. Picture an ancient city brimming with advanced maritime vessels, labyrinthine harbors, and a culture rumored to combine mystical beliefs with rational sciences. We find references in Egyptian legends too, speaking of an island empire that preceded dynastic times. Are these parallels to Plato's city purely coincidental? Modern historians sometimes wave off these claims, but that doesn't erase the presence of perplexing evidence. Consider ancient cartographic records, those puzzling maps like the Piri-Reis map, which feature uncanny detail of coastlines under ice. Could an advanced culture have charted these lands long before official timelines say it was possible? If they could have done so, what does that suggest about Atlantis and other lost civilizations with advanced observational methods? We face a crossroads. Either accept the narrow lane of traditional narratives or risk reimagining prehistory altogether. Could it be that multiple cataclysms, massive floods, rapid climate shifts, decimated pockets of human advancement forcing survivors to rebuild from scratch, The puzzle pieces are scattered across mythologies worldwide, each describing a great flood or sunken kingdom. The startling possibility is that these legends are not so disconnected after all. We've been taught that progress only moves in a steady line, but real history may have bold rises and cataclysmic falls. If Atlantis was indeed among those lost milestones of human brilliance, what does that say about our species' resilience, our capacity to build and to lose? Something extraordinary? Imagine emerging from a small diving vessel and descending into oceanic twilight. You drift by coral-encrusted walls arranged too precisely to be random. You sense the ghosts of a city that once echoed with laughter, trade, and scholarly debate. The haunting beauty leaves you breathless, stirring a sense of loss and longing for what once stood tall in the sunlight. These emotional tremors hint at why Atlantis resonates so deeply. It's not just a quest for physical ruins, but an emotional return to a world that might have shaped us in ways we've forgotten. So many of our myths speak of a profound fall from grace, an Eden, so to speak, overshadowed by catastrophe. Atlantis stands at the pinnacle of these tales, an advanced kingdom undone by the unstoppable force of nature. Does it resonate because it warns us of pride before a fall? Or because our genetic memory yearns for the lost splendor of our ancestors? Our hearts twist when we imagine families watching the walls crack and flood, temples swallowed by the sea. The power of this story transcends mere curiosity. It anchors us to a shared sense of wonder and regret. Atlantis is more than a city of legend. It's a symbol of possibility never fully realized, a testament to human ambition thwarted by cataclysm. That somber emotional charge pulls us deeper, urging us to unearth every elusive clue. Could discovering Atlantis bring us face to face with our own vulnerabilities? Could the story of its downfall, if true, serve as an echoing warning for our modern world? Momentum builds as underwater exploration technology surges forward. Submersibles, sonar mapping, and satellite imagery related to oceanic ridges are unveiling anomalies that challenge the established timeline of human civilization. One startling discovery: symmetrical stonework patterns found on ocean floors near the Azores and the Canary Islands. Some experts speculate that these could be natural geological formations, but others argue that the geometry is too deliberate. Perhaps these are fragments of an ancient harbor system constructed by a seafaring people who mastered architecture on a scale rarely seen for their time. Many explorers have, quietly and sometimes covertly, traveled to these remote watery sites to retrieve samples or photograph suspicious structures. Their findings? Pillars that eerily match classical descriptions, intricate carvings that hint at both cultural and scientific sophistication. Some artifacts, if genuine, would upend entire volumes of history textbooks. Still, the mainstream labeling of these discoveries as quackery or pseudo-archaeology has slowed their acceptance. But the question remains: why would so many individuals from disparate backgrounds converge on similar points of investigation? Unless they sensed something undeniably significant. Satellite scans have also detected possible outlines of submerged architecture in the Atlantic's depths. The ocean floors are riddled with canyons, submerged volcanoes, and ridges that may mask the remains of advanced settlements. We live at a turning point in research. Each new technological leap could reveal the puzzle piece that confirms these myths. If the story of Atlantis holds even a kernel of factual basis, might we be on the brink of rewriting the chapters of human history? The excitement is palpable, leaving us poised between wonder and apprehension as we gather each tantalizing clue. Now imagine you're standing at the precipice of a groundbreaking discovery. You've heard rumors of divers retrieving an elaborate metallic disc etched with unfamiliar symbols, a device rumored to forecast lunar cycles, eclipses, and possibly more. Some claim it's reminiscent of the Antikythera mechanism, but older by centuries, if not millennia. Could an advanced Atlantean society have designed technology far beyond its era? The possibility tantalizes: a civilization that combined mechanical expertise with mystical beliefs, bridging the chasm between scientific progress and spiritual insight. Such a culture would have left behind relics of daily life, a city plan melding function and aesthetics, libraries brimming with knowledge that ancient Greece only partially inherited. One bold historian even suggests that certain early Greek mathematics concepts originated from travelers who survived Atlantis' fall. Before dismissing these stories, consider the track record of archaeology. Troy was once dismissed as a fictional city from Homer's epic poems, until the spades hit the ground and found the very walls once deemed mythic. Isn't Atlantis overdue for a similar reckoning? The difference is scale. We're dealing with entire submerged land masses. Each potential step forward brims with uncertainty, but also with the promise of bridging the gap between legend and fact. Better hold your breath. The revelations that could come next just might upend all we thought we knew. Hold tight. What if we are already standing on the cusp of an epoch-altering confirmation? Cryptic news leaks mention geological surveys that can't reconcile the apparent man-made patterns with known natural formations. Some scientists, terrified of ridicule, keep quiet. Others gather clandestinely, comparing notes and quietly fueling speculation. The deeper they dig, the more compelling the puzzle becomes. The consensus, though whispered, is that nature rarely sculpts perfect angles, symmetrical corridors, or intricately aligned stone rings. Could we be so wrapped in modern arrogance that we dismiss the achievements of a forgotten civilization? Perhaps we've been sitting on top of their knowledge, gleaning mere fragments and calling them our own breakthroughs. If a society mapped the seas, understood celestial mechanics, and harnessed forms of energy we can only guess at, think how humbling that realization would be. Suddenly, the impetus to find this lost city feels less about mystical daydreams and more like an academic imperative. Every glimmer of evidence, from rumored ruins off Bimini to curious alignments in Antarctica's ancient ice, underscores the possibility that the official timeline of civilization's birth is incomplete. We thrive on progress, on the belief that we are the pinnacle of human achievement. Yet Atlantis suggests that we may be simply repeating the cycle begun long ago. Could our interpretations of myth be childish misunderstandings of real cataclysms? If indeed Atlantis was real, the weight of that truth would shift our entire worldview, forcing us to grasp that civilizations rise, fall, and sometimes vanish without a trace. So, how far are you willing to stretch your belief in the face of contradictory evidence? Are you prepared to trust your gut feelings that something about humanity's past has been overlooked? Even mainstream historians agree that pockets of our history are woefully incomplete. The ancient world abounds with enigmas. The precise building techniques for the Great Pyramid, the advanced city planning of Mohenjo-Daro, mysterious terrestrial lines like these found in Peru's Nazca region. What if the Atlanteans left footprints in these cultures' foundations? Speculation abounds that survivors of a sunken empire fled to different corners of the globe. Could the seeds of advanced mathematics, astronomy, and architecture have blossomed in these newly adopted homelands, weaving the tapestry of multiple global civilizations? Yes, it sounds outlandish, but consider the remarkable uniformity in certain mythological motifs across continents. Flooded lands, godlike instructors, lost kingdoms. Are these simply archetypal stories or faint echoes of a shared cataclysmic memory? Tectonic shifts, mega tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. Nature's fury has repeatedly reset the stage for human history. And while official accounts focus on societies that left unambiguous archaeological footprints, the possibility of a primordial culture overshadowed by natural catastrophe remains open. Wouldn't you want to know if we are merely the latest iteration of an incredibly old storyline? If even one piece of Atlantean technology gets discovered intact, a library inscription, a mechanical device, a global map, it could crack wide the notion that we were the first culture to master the planet. Are you prepared to face that riddle of civilizations lost? Let's split from accepted orthodoxies for a moment. Humanity's official record says advanced societies emerged recently: Sumer, ancient Egypt, the Indus Valley. But a deeper look reveals advanced sites like Göbekli Tepe that existed millennia before these recognized civilizations, rewriting what we thought was possible. Some say Göbekli Tepe itself was built by refugees from a cataclysmic event, a pocket of survivors clinging to their architectural knowledge. This might not prove Atlantis, but it smashes the notion of linear progress. Instead, we see spikes of genius in eras we once thought primitive. Could Atlantis be the mother of all such anomalies? If so, the puzzle becomes, how do we find firm proof in a realm so deeply altered by time and tides? Oceanic currents can bury or erode evidence. Over thousands of years, silt and shifting crust might camouflage even the grandest city. Yet we see glimpses that spark our imagination: compelling sonar images near southwestern Spain, rumored capitals beneath the southwestern waters of the Iberian Peninsula, even speculative structures near the Bahamas. Each claim has faced dismissals from skeptics, calling them illusions or misinterpretations. Still, an undercurrent of possibility remains thick in the air. Could humankind have lost an entire epoch of high civilization? If it did, the ramifications go beyond mere curiosity. It would force us to question how advanced we truly are, whether we stand on the shoulders of forgotten giants. If, by some chance, Atlantis was real, the concept of progress might be cyclical rather than linear, overshadowed by sudden cosmic or terrestrial events that can erase centuries of prosperity in days. We're left with an unsettling question: how truly secure is our modern civilization if such a downfall could happen again? Picture a bustling marketplace, artisans negotiating prices, academicians trading knowledge, families guiding wide-eyed children through marble streets. Then, a distant, ominous tremor. In mere hours, the ocean turns hostile, swallowing every living moment into its unrelenting depth. This is the heartbreak of Atlantis, not just the loss of a glorious city, but the stories of everyday people whose hopes and dreams vanished in a single cataclysmic event. This emotional undercurrent haunts us. We feel empathy for those who might have lived in the labyrinthine corridors, whose scholars charted the stars and probed philosophical mysteries. Their demise reminds us of our fragility, our illusions of control. And perhaps, behind the myth, is a cautionary tale about environmental shifts. Did Atlanteans tamper with nature in ways that triggered their downfall? Or did the planet's natural upheavals take them unawares? Huh? These ponderings slice right to the heart. We cling to the idea that if Atlantis was real, then we had once reached feats of science and art we can scarcely imagine. The children who thrived there might be us in another timeline, their joys and sorrows universal. Atlantis raises the human story to epic proportions, entangling nostalgia with wonder, heartbreak with hope. As you visualize fish weaving through ancient archways, think of the unsuspecting souls who once called those places home. If the fable is factual, rediscovering Atlantis means resurrecting the lost hearts and minds who contributed to one of the greatest mysteries of all time. The tension mounts as we continue to gather data, from cryptic inscriptions on ancient temple walls to modern feats of underwater scanning. Scholars fiercely debate these leads. Some hold that the data are random, an outcome of geological processes, while others see systemic geometry. Even so, the excitement escalates because every new piece of technology refines our underwater lens. In the 21st century, we can now probe the sea like never before, capturing high-dissolution images that peel back layers of sediment to reveal possible man-made forms. The public appetite for a blockbuster discovery is intense. Documentaries, research papers, and off-the-record whisperings point to a big break. Meanwhile, wealthy sponsors fund expeditions that vanish for weeks off the Atlantic coast, re-emerging with cryptic statements about astounding anomalies. We stand on the brink of either ultimate confirmation or a wave of disappointment. But the clues keep evolving, fueling the sense that we are stumbling toward a profound revelation. Each time a sensational find circulates, like a rumored statue or column fragment, the skeptics push back. They remind us how illusions can spring from our wishful thinking. Yet behind closed doors, more experts are softening. Reliable evidence, they argue, is piling up in ways that can't be dismissed lightly. Indeed, the structure of these alleged ruins fits no known pattern of natural erosion. The debate hits a fever pitch. Are we converging on the solution to a puzzle that has eluded humankind for millennia? If proof emerges, it won't just rewrite history. It may also change the lens through which we see our own contemporary challenges, reminding us how fleeting grandeur can be. Word spreads about a new sighting. Sonar picks up what looks like an extended causeway leading toward a vast circular foundation on the seabed. The shape is surprisingly regular, and preliminary images suggest block-like patterns that could be artificially laid. For centuries, skeptics have demanded tangible proof, markers undeniably human-made. Could this be the key that unlocks the door from legend to historical reality? Whispers say a team of interdisciplinary researchers is preparing a deep dive to investigate the area. They've withheld the precise coordinates to avoid fiascos or opportunistic treasure hunters. Closely guarded statements hint at labyrinthine corridors, not just piles of rock. The speculation alone has triggered a frenzy of excitement in the scientific community. If these corridors are verified, if they find inscriptions in an unknown language or advanced construction methods that predate known civilizations, the entire Atlantis saga would shift from folklore to an archaeological revolution. Yet official channels remain tight-lipped. Are governments playing a role, seeking to control the release of such a paradigm-shattering discovery? Some argue that acknowledging a forgotten era of advanced civilization could destabilize cultural and religious narratives. Others wonder if certain powerful interests don't want the public to see technology that might cast ancient achievements in a brand new light, overshadowing modern pride. As the overshadowed corridors beckon from beneath the Atlantic, we realize that resolution is near, and the tension of not knowing, overshadowed by the thrill of possibility, forces us to wait, breath-baited, for the exploration's outcome. Headlines almost break the internet. Breaking: possible sunken city found off Atlantic shelf. Critics rise up in unison, calling it more hype. But the videos released show haunting shapes that defy mere coincidence. Symmetrical arcs, corridor-like shadows, and subtle patterns reminiscent of decorative relief. The resolution is grainy, but the data is compelling enough to ignite a firestorm of theories. Suddenly, every corner of popular culture buzzes with Atlantean mania. Social media is awash with rumored translations of newly discovered glyphs, cosmic alignments, or advanced seismic dampening techniques that might have once protected this city. The excitement is matched by ferocious skepticism. People pointing out that the ocean floors can create illusions, that well-meaning amateurs can misread sonar data. Still, glimmers of official endorsement start seeping through. A small circle of oceanographers and marine archaeologists, typically reserved, admit on record that the geometry in these scans is unusual. They want further study, reluctant to call it conclusive, but refusing to dismiss the possibility outright. So the world holds its breath, waiting for photographic proof that can't be argued away. If these corridors and arches are truly man-made, we may be on the threshold of verifying history's greatest legend. As the countdown to the next expedition escalates, our hearts pound with an odd mixture of hope and apprehension. The final unveiling teases a brand new chapter where Atlantis steps out of myth and right into the annals of documented history. Could our civilization handle that revelation? Would it empower us or unravel the narratives that anchor our sense of identity? Everyone awaits the final word, poised for a discovery that could echo across centuries. Here's where you become part of this unfolding saga. Are we on the brink of reclaiming a lost epoch, or is Atlantis destined to remain a tantalizing myth? Now is the time to dive deeper, seek out newly emerging research, scrutinize archaic texts, and question stale assumptions. If Atlantis truly existed, then the tapestry of human history is infinitely richer and more complex than our textbooks allow. All evidence suggests that civilizations soar to astonishing heights, only to be hammered by the forces of nature or their own failings. Reconstructing such stories can give crucial insight into our present and future. Dare to entertain the possibility that an ancient people harnessed knowledge we're still scrambling to decipher. If you're moved by this enigma, share your thoughts below. Does the weight of myth overshadow the facts? Or are we on the verge of unearthing an epical truth? Your engagement fuels further exploration. Every comment, every question, every subscription collectively propels the quest. So stand at the threshold with us. Research, reflect, and keep the intrigue alive by liking this video and hitting that subscribe button. Justin, how can we find you if we want to know more? Let's shine a light beneath the waves together, forging a community that dares to reimagine the passages of time. Dive in, keep questioning, and prepare for the next expedition, because the deeper we plunge, the more hidden wonders we might reveal.